Step into office hours with California's doctor, where health meets real talk. Hosted by the California Surgeon General, these conversations will tackle health issues that truly impact everyday life. From mental health struggles to game-changing medical innovations in public health, we will dive deep into the topics that matter most to Californians and their community. Informative, empowering, and thought-provoking. Whether a professional advocate or simply curious about improving well-being, these conversations are a trusted source for insight and guidance. Your health is the foundation for a healthier future. Let's build it together. On this episode of Office Hours with the California Surgeon General, Dr. Diana E. Ramos sits down with Dr. Yalda T. Uhls to discuss Center for Scholars and Storytellers.
Thank you for joining me today. It truly is my honor and pleasure to welcome to our virtual stage Dr. Yalda Uhls from the Center of Scholars and Storytellers. Welcome, Dr. Uhls. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, but more importantly, tell me more about the Center for Scholars and Storytellers?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me and for creating this important platform for sharing information about California and health and well-being. I was born on the East Coast, but I've been in California since I was 6, so very long time. I used to be a film executive. I used to be in the movie business in Los Angeles and made many, many movies. One of my first movies was called Mi Familia, My Family, and it has gotten into the National Film Registry. And it's something I talk about because I'm very proud that very early in my career, I cared about representation of diverse communities and really, cared about storytelling in a very meaningful way. I then got a PhD in developmental psychology at UCLA, and I studied how media impacts young people. I'm a mom with two 20-year-olds, early 20s, and I launched the center in 2019. We're affiliated with UCLA with my faculty appointment. I teach there. And what we do is we bridge these worlds I've come from, which is storytelling and scholarly research, and also young people. So all three of those worlds are things that I care passionately about. And I believe that when young people, storytellers, and researchers who study how to have a positive impact on young people come together, we can maximize the power of storytelling to support the health and well-being of adolescents.
Thank you. And, the work that you're doing is so critically important because you're making messaging part of where people are already. So if they're seeing a movie, if they're seeing a miniseries, to be able to provide the health information, the life lesson information in a fun and storytelling way is, I think, such a creative opportunity. And your training is amazing because you're able to really interweave all of that. So when you created the Center for Scholars and Storytellers, did you imagine that you would be really as impactful and successful? Because you've had some awesome opportunities to integrate and to insert messaging in some of the movies and series. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, I hoped that the research that I felt was important for storytellers would resonate, because I also felt, because I was a storyteller, I'm still a storyteller, but of a different kind, that I understood how to communicate to that group. And I thought it would be successful, you know, and I'd have more interaction than many sort of traditional academics who study this stuff. I was also trying to motivate and inspire. We motivate with the carrot, not the stick. So I feel that's a better way to get industry to listen to you. But we have had way more success than I ever thought. I've worked with every single studio, movie studio. They support our work in a variety of ways. We also have worked with Activision and Roblox, which are both gaming platforms, which are huge. We've worked with a few of the social media companies, and we work a lot with YouTube. So, I wanted to share research insights with the entire world, and storytellers who reach, as you said, I wanted to get to where the young people already are, and speak to the people that are creating the stories that they consume. And I, one of the things that's going to come out later this year is we're creating a guide for YouTube creators around adolescent development and having a positive impact. So when that opportunity came to us, I just was like, my work here is done. Like, that is the opportunity to really get insights into the hands of creators from around the world, on a platform that is the biggest platform for young people. So um, I've been incredibly blessed, and also I have a good team. Um, so yeah, we've done really well, and I'm excited to keep, I mean, the work needs to continue. It's not just like you put the research in the creator's hands and they always use it. You have to also help them figure out how to use it. And then ideally, we would be working with a piece of content from the beginning to release and create wraparound content that would, support young people who are watching something in the digital space so that they can get more information and accurate information around issues such as mental health and well-being, or sex and reproduction education. All of these things, I believe storytelling can teach them, but then you need experts like yourself and others to really make sure that what's imparted in the story has some real world value, and that is through wraparound content.
That's great. Yes. So that sounds like an amazing opportunity to be creating the guide for YouTube. Talk about your job being done. You're not done. We're going to keep you for a very long time because you bring in such a wealth of experience. And what oftentimes we forget is that young people are spending a lot of time on gaming. And so thank you for taking that into consideration and to really recognizing that that is an opportunity where we can reach our young people with the health messaging. You mentioned mental health. Mental health is a critically important issue, especially after the onset of COVID and now moving beyond COVID, and realizing that many times people are reluctant, especially our younger people, to talk about mental health issues, to really move beyond the stigma that is often associated with mental health. So thank you so much for specifically highlighting that work and bringing that light to our young people, because they really are our investment in the future. Can you maybe share an example of like how you build in, or you make recommendations to build in a topic in a script or a movie?
Absolutely. So a success story that we're proud of, and a story of impact, is we worked on the series that was released by Roku last year called the Spiderwick Chronicles. And they were based on best-selling books. And the creator, Aaron Colette, wanted to integrate accurate mental health representation and really sort of model how a parent should handle a child who may be having some issues. And so he brought us in, and we partnered with a clinical psychologist, and we gave notes from every single episode on the scripts. We watched the videos, we gave notes. And at first, we weren't sure if we would really be able to provide that much value. But the reality is, these storytellers have so much to think about and so many things to do, and they have expertise, deep expertise in their arena, but they don't have expertise in these other arenas. And that's why they can use the support and help of people who study this stuff or work with patients. And so we did actually provide a lot of language, a lot of suggestions, and he integrated quite a bit of it. And then when it came out, Roku funded a screening we did at UCLA, and we had a panel with the creator and some of the people, and we talked about how much he cared and they cared, and how they integrated these messages into the show. And the show came out. It was the #1 watch show on Roku, and it got reviews that really called out some of the work we did. Didn't say the work they did. It just said that the familial relationships were nuanced, and the kid's arc felt very real. And that was some of the stuff that we were really trying to focus on, because we wanted to make sure it resonated. And then now, the show was nominated for 11 Emmys, I think. And it was nominated for a Writers Guild Award. I think it won the Writers Guild Award, which is really big in this is for kids and TV, family TV. But that's a big recognition for a creator, to win an award like that from their peers. And we are also going to do a webinar with the APA, the American Psychological Association, with the creator and the clinical psychologist. And we're going to talk about the work that we did together, and kind of share best practices for psychologists and other people that work with young people and mental health and well-being, in case they would like to share their knowledge with Hollywood.
That is great. So you're rewarded for doing the right thing and meeting people where they are. And oftentimes in healthcare, we overlook the fact that 80% of health happens outside of the healthcare setting. And it is not only where we live, but what we're watching and what we're entertaining ourselves with that can really make a difference, and that can normalize what is happening in families, and then understand how perhaps some of the health issues that we experience, like anxiety or depression, could present. So thank you for making it so real, and for reminding us that when you do the right thing, you oftentimes will be rewarded. So kudos and congratulations to those big wins. That is fantastic. So what is next? What is next besides the YouTube manual? Any other big things in the works that you want to share with us? And I would say put it out on our audience, things that we should be on the lookout for to help support what you're producing.
Yeah, we have our annual summit, which you did the opening keynote for last year. That will be in October. We also release our Teens and Screen study right the day before. Both of those, we look for sponsorships. So if anyone's interested, they can write me. We are always fundraising. We're a nonprofit. We are also doing several creative collaborative initiatives around foster care and opportunity youth. That work has been partially funded by the Hilton Foundation. And we're really going to try to, remember I talked about wraparound content and then the show itself. We're going to really try to align with a show or a movie or an influencer, and try to create a soup to nuts campaign where we're not only influencing what's in the content, but also trying to create resources around it and move young people to action on behalf of themselves. We have also another one around representation of healthy masculinity. As we all know, I mean, we've been thinking about this for a long time, and it's really impacted our culture and the world, that we haven't been really thinking about men as much as women. And I think men need our support as well, and need to understand it's okay for them to be vulnerable. It's okay for them to talk to people. They commit suicide at much higher rates, and being able to talk about their emotions and modeling that through representation is a really great way to get across to people, how to behave and how to act. And, just thinking about why the work we are doing is really important today, even though there are so many people that funds are being taken away or the fires, have impacted them. But our work is one of the few places where you can kind of get information in without barriers from government or from education systems and sort of, you know, people, you know, guiding or even censoring the content. So, and it is the place where young people gather. It's the third space, the space outside of work and home where they gather and connect. So, and I believe that stories in particular, they're how we make meaning. They're how many of us feel comfort when we feel uncertain and worried. Um, they're really valuable as a coping mechanism and also as a teaching tool. So I hope that the work we are doing continues to have impact, continues to be supported by both industry and philanthropy and researchers and young people. And we continue to work with great people like you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for really making it obvious to educate people through entertainment and really highlight what is important in our society and the opportunities for improvement. You truly are an innovator and a mover and a shaker, Dr. Uhls. Thank you. So in wrapping us
Very
up,
kind of you.
starting to wrap us up, I want to ask you two questions that I ask everyone. The first is, what does health and well-being mean to you personally? And then the second one is, what's one innovative idea to improve the health in California?
So my house in the Palisades burned down in the fire. I did not live there. I was renting it out, but my whole community burned down. And it really shifted my sense of health and well-being. And it really does mean self-care. It really does mean taking time to connect with someone, taking time to exercise, eat good food, get enough sleep. These are things that are so critical. And I can see when I take them, I feel better now. I used to work a lot. I still do, but I'm really trying to balance it with other things and prioritize those things and take time off from work and go. And I think, it's really hard. We feel the pressure that we need to move 24/7 to be able to make it in this world, but ultimately making it in this world can have a different definition, and it could be being at peace. So that's what I'm doing personally. And an innovation for California, I think sleep is critical. And, in the public health sphere at UCLA, at, developmental psychologists, and especially in a world with media where a lot of people, using too much media and using it at night is associated with less sleep. I think really kind of letting people understand that without sleep, they're harming their bodies and they're harming their physical and mental health and possibly long term. I think getting education out about sleep would be really, really innovative and important.
Well, thank you, Dr. Uhls. And first of all, my heart breaks and my heart goes out to you for losing your home in the Palisades. So I'm really, truly so sorry to hear that happened. But I love your positivity and looking at it. And what I heard is how you're using that loss as an opportunity to focus on what truly is important in your life. And thank you for reminding us of what we need to focus on really to stay healthy, which is taking care of ourselves first. So thank you so much for your commitment and your willingness to share, what happened there personally. And you and I are on the same page about sleep. I can tell you that is one of the things that I encourage all of us to do.
Good.
Yes. So thank you so much for your time, your expertise, your leadership, your dedication, and unstoppable innovation. and partnership to improve the health of California. And I really thank you so much, Dr. Uhls, and the center that you have created, the Center for Scholars and Storytellers, because you are truly moving California in the direction of improved health. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramos, for having me and for doing the work that you really care about, these sort of outside of the box ways to get to people and share the information. I recently heard about a philanthropy that spent a lot of time focused on policy and to get healthcare benefits to people out, marginalized communities. They got the bill passed, but then nobody knew about the content and what they had. And that flipped them to start thinking about communication and narrative change. And I feel like you're way ahead of the game. So thank you. And I appreciate you having me. Thanks a lot.
You're too kind. Thank you. And let's continue together in health until our next session together. Thanks, everyone.